Welcome to A Healthier, Happier You, the people working to make it happen. I'm Evan J. Chalfin from Luxhammer, where we help the brands that help you live healthier. Today I'm joined by Troy Ball, founder and CEO of Braini. Troy is a groundbreaking entrepreneur, the first female whiskey founder, and now the first female brain supplement founder. She's created a scientifically validated supplement that's changing how we approach cognitive health. That's welcome.
Thank you so much, Evan. I'm really happy to be with you today.
So, what inspired you to transition from whiskey founding to creating Brainy?
Well, I guess I live here in Asheville, North Carolina, which is the home of Gaia herbs, and there's a lot of medicinal plants history in these mountains here. And I had developed some relationships with some folks here from the supplement industry. And over about a 10-year period, I just decided that my next venture from whiskey was going to be supplements. And that happened because we have two sons who have extremely rare genetic conditions that are neurological. I just thought if I'm going to jump into the supplement space, I was going to target the brain. It's a problem for my family. I know it's a problem for a lot of other families out there who have children with attention problems. They have dyslexia. They have, early kind of memory loss. They're just getting older and they want to feel better about how their brain performs. So it seemed like it was a huge market and it directly affected my family.
Yeah, what makes your proprietary blend with Peptilin unique in the market?
Well, Brainy only contains three ingredients, as you mentioned, peptilin, which is a silk fibroin peptide that was discovered in South Korea 30 years ago. And the doctor there who discovered the actual peptide that was improving brain performance has done probably 15 double-blind placebo clinical trials that have been published on that peptide. Once I learned about that peptide, I knew it was going to be one of our core ingredients. So we selected that. Our second ingredient was Nurxel, which is a plant-based omega. And this ingredient has the highest percentage of stearidonic acid of any known ingredient. And stearidonic acid is super important for flexibility in an aging brain, let's say. And there's been published work on stearidonic acid in particular. So that became our second ingredient. And our third ingredient is wild Canadian blueberries for the obvious reasons. Blueberries are fabulous antioxidant and well documented as being beneficial to the brain. So we put those three ingredients together in a dry blend, and it was very interesting. We ended up seeing evidence of covalent bonding between these ingredients. That just means that they were forming like a new molecule when they were put together. And this was part of the reason why we were able to get Brainy patented. So no other company in the world can put these three ingredients together. Actually, now two ingredients together. Our most recent patent allows just the stearidonic acid and the peptilin to be put together. So we've tried to tighten that up because we've done studies all over the world. In fact, we did a study in some laboratory in Spain where we did trials on brain cells, different types of brain cell lines. And then they were like inflammation challenges, basically. And we looked at how all omegas individually affected that challenged cell. And when we put Brainy, the formulation, together, it outperforms all omegas. You can hear that DHA or EPA or any number of omegas are good for the brain in terms of treating inflammation. But I'm here to tell you, we've seen it in laboratory work that the Brainy formulation is superior to treating inflammation in brain cell lines. So that was pretty exciting. And it's also part of the reason we got an anti-inflammatory patent.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what's been working particularly well in your clinical validation process?
Right. That's a good question. What we did is we did a clinical trial at the University of North Carolina, Asheville. And we took two populations, 18 to 30-year-olds and 50 to 80-year-olds. And the reason we chose those is because there were university students there, obviously. And then they have a seniors big seniors educational program over at the university. So there were people to tap for this clinical trial. In both groups is we got statistical significance in executive function, shifting attention, reaction time. So executive function is basically the grand central station of your brain. It allows you to like think quickly about lots of things and do things in the right order and switch from task to task and not get confused or worried or stressed, right? So in both groups, that shifting attention score improved. They got faster at being correct. So that was a big deal. That's a very big deal because executive function, we all need it. In fact, if you were testing somebody that you thought had attention problems or dyslexia, the red flag would be, do they have failures in executive function? Coincidentally, as we were doing all this research over these years, we started finding that dyslexics had these huge recoveries when they started taking Brainy in their executive function scores. And I'm not talking about going up 10 or 12 points. I'm talking about going up 30 or 40 or 50 points over 90 days. So that was huge for us. And I didn't know anything about dyslexia or ADHD. But then when I dug into this testing company that we use or we partner with, which is a 30-year-old testing company called CNS Vital Signs, that's exactly what they're looking for to diagnose those conditions. Low scores in executive function and cognitive flexibility, which mirrors executive function scores very closely. So we are delighted, that we can prove to people that we can change some part of your brain performance for the better. And in fact, it's interesting, Evan, every person's different. That's what makes a clinical trial difficult, right? So like if I gave you the test, you might really respond in processing speed. You might go up 15 points in processing speed or reaction time or motor speed. And the next person might go up in executive function and cognitive flexibility. So I like to think of it as Brainy sort of, if it could, it would puts on its glasses and it looks at a person and says, where can I support this person the most? Because all the time you'll see their test scores and you'll see their lowest test scores get pulled up. The other thing that's really cool about Brainy is it doesn't matter if you're low performing on test scores or normal or even above average. So I can give you an example. There was a man here in town who took the 30-day challenge. This man has 25 patents. He's very, very high performing. He was above average, above 110. That's just the grade, 90 to 110 is normal for your age group, okay? He was above 110 in every test category. So when he told me that, I thought, oh gosh, let's see what happens. Well, he went up in every test category and his average was 22 points. That's like over a full standard deviation of change. And this is somebody who's already exceptionally high performing. So Brainy works for people who have very efficient brains that work really quickly and well. And it works really well for people who have brains that are slower at processing, slower at decision making. It's been a gift for me to see how Brainy supports people.
That's incredible. You said that the study was for, I believe, 18 to 30-year-olds and 50, 80-year-olds. Would you say that those are your ideal customers, or do you have a specific ideal customer in mind for the products?
I would like to say yes, because that's what the marketing people want you to do. They want you to focus on one group, and I would love to do that. The low-hanging fruit is our seniors, people who have got, let's say even people over the age of 50, because by the time someone's 50, they're seeing their parents. And if their parents are having slowing down, or if they know their parent has a dementia or an early Alzheimer's or something, they're concerned, right? So that's obviously the low-hanging fruit. The untapped potential for Brainy would be in supporting people with dyslexia, because dyslexics make up 20% of the population. That's huge, right? And dyslexia is not described as a disease state by the FDA. So we can talk about it. I can't talk about dementia. I can't talk about Alzheimer's, even though I've had people with some of those diagnoses take Brainy and do well. Legally, if we're out there marketing this product, we can't talk about anything that's described as a disease state. Dyslexia is not. And I know for a fact, Brainy's highly supportive of dyslexics. I had one father who has at the time, his son was 11, and he said, my son's got dysgraphia, he's got attention problems, he's got all the stuff going on, he's really struggling, and I'd like to try him. So we did the 30-day challenge with the son. He was compared to kids in his age group, and he went up, I think, 17 points in his processing speed, which is a big change. It's a big jump. And he went up in 3 or 4 categories. What happened was his father sent me a video recording, and he said, I just want you to know that my son is reading a 400-page book. And he said he's never read a book. He never wanted to read a book, but he's able to settle and he's enjoying reading a book for the first time in his life. I mean, a real one. And that was seriously wonderful for me to see how a product like Brainy can impact lives. The other thing that's curious, I just was having a discussion with our team one day, and I said, I wonder what percentage of prisoners are dyslexic. You want to make a guess?
I actually don't know. I have
Okay,
no
well,
idea.
you know that 20% of the population is dyslexic. So, you might say 40%. I mean, that'd be high, right? But it's actually in Texas, there was a study done, and they had 68% of federal prisoners were dyslexic. I watched how children who are dyslexic, unless their parents really have lots of resources that can get them all the right tutorial stuff, they kind of fall between the cracks and they don't do as well in school as some of the other kids. And then they start acting up and finding other kids that are kind of like them, they become the jokesters, or they become the troublemakers in school. And so you can see how that just cycles over time. And by the time they're graduating, or if they're close to graduating, they've really fallen behind. And I can see how they could be getting into trouble. I would love the opportunity to help children like that so that they can perform better and not feel like they're failures, so that they can feel like that they're respected and admired for who they are without having to go to extreme measures to get attention. That's just an aside for you, but I think it's interesting. And I think there's no supplement on the market in America for dyslexics. I'm hopeful that one day Brainy will be able to be offered up to that population. But for you and I, let's just say normal, average folks, I'm much older than you, Brainy will support us too. If you're a gamer, you're going to get quicker. You will be faster. Your reaction times will be faster with Brainy. If you're an athlete, think about that. How quick a basketball player or a tennis player has to make instant decisions. So Brainy is very supportive of any sort of physical hand-eye motor coordination activity, and that's proven.
Oh, that's amazing. What do you think is your biggest challenge to market Brainy?
The biggest challenge is just having enough money to market it, to be perfectly honest. We've spent a lot of money getting the science right and getting the patents in place and all of that. So now it's just a matter of getting the word out. And I appreciate companies like yours who are reaching out to entrepreneurs who've worked hard to produce really good products. And hopefully you'll be helping me to get the word out too.
Yeah, well, happy to help. And how do you approach market education so people can learn more about how Brainy works and how it can benefit folks?
Really, I think one of the things that sets Brainy apart is that we allow our customers to test themselves. And we are the only brain supplement in America that does that virtually at no cost. If you sign up for a subscription, which could be canceled at any time, we'll provide the test to you for free. So it means that you sign up, you check the box that says, I'd like to do the 30-day Brainy Challenge. And then you get emailed a test link from this neurocognitive testing company. You get your baseline scores in a report that will be emailed to you instantly. Then you take the supplement, it's arrived, right? And you take 2 capsules a day for 30 days, and you will receive a second test link. And of course, there's 120 versions of that test. Nobody can memorize it. That's in fact been statistically proven as well. And then you will get a report that will show where you've improved, how much you've improved. And then you have validation. You know that you're spending money on a monthly basis for a product called Brainy, and your brain is actually performing better because of it. It's not just having a momentary caffeine buzz or a, vitamin B energy boost. It's actually really changing the ability of your brain synapses to work more efficiently, more quickly. So that is apart from everyone. And so the more people who take the 30-day challenge and learn what Brainy can do, the better for us. That's why we offer the test for free. There is another.
Yeah, that's a really smart way to go about it.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of the age of people they want to know about themselves. They, no matter what they're doing, they want to be able to measure how are they doing, how is something working for me. They don't want to waste money. I don't. I I I absolutely don't want to spend money on something that's not really truly giving me a benefit, or for my children, for my sons. So I think that's why we clearly decided at the beginning Brainy had to be provable to any person who took it. Otherwise, I don't want somebody buying the product just, without a lot of confidence in it. We have been published in the Journal of Integrative and Complementary Medicine. The clinical trial was published, so that's great. Anybody can look that up. They can also they'll also be able to get that link off of our website, which is currently under construction, but should be finished in the next 2 weeks, I hope. Order Brainy right now online at braini.com. It's spelled with an I, Braini. But I would encourage anyone who wants to try Brainy to test themselves. And if they have any questions, they can come to us at support@braini.com, and we'll be happy to help them interpret their test results. By the way, the test is all HIPAA compliant. So I can't see your test results, even though you'd think I would be able to. But we wanted people to be confident that their personal, brain information is theirs. It's, theirs to share. So then if you call me and say, hey, Troy, I took the test. This is what it said. What do you think? Then I'd be happy to chat with you about it, or one of our support people could do that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. What do you think makes it difficult to stand out in the brain health supplement market?
There's a lot of clutter out there. I mean, there are lots of products. It's such a huge space. It's one of the fastest growing categories in the supplement industry. And everybody thinks, oh, we'll throw some omegas and some huperzine and some bacopa and some caffeine. Let's be sure and add the caffeine, and we'll just create a supplement and surely it will help people's brains. Well, then they don't go do a clinical trial to prove that it actually helps their brain performance. And so there's a lot of clutter out there. I would say never buy anything if you can't go to, Google clinicaltrials.gov, or go check it out. Be sure that product actually really has science behind it. Sometimes what you find are products on the market where one ingredient has some publication behind it, but they never put all the ingredients together and did a clinical trial to see if it really is doing what it's saying it's doing. And there are a lot of products on the market right now that say supports cognitive function, supports memory, supports this, supports that. Well, I can tell you, I don't know of one that has a clinical trial that's been published. And the peer review process was crazy. It took us a year to get the manuscript after we did the clinical trial through the peer reviewing process, then through the editor, and actually published. I mean, that means a lot. It's a lot of hard science guys who are looking at everything very carefully before you ever get the chance to publish something. Anyway, that's kind of where we are. And have that published paper on our website. And I hope people will take a look at it just so they can see that, yep, this is a real deal company. In terms of the space, there's a lot of products out there that sell for, $29. That means that they have about $3 worth of ingredients in the bottle. Cheaper does not mean better in this case. I think Brainy is pretty fairly priced. It's priced at $69, and we run promotions on it where sometimes it's $59. But you get what you pay for in the case of the Brain. Think of it like if you bought a boutique coffee every day, it would cost you more than a bottle of Brainy will cost you. Does that make sense? I mean, you spend $5 every time you go to, Starbucks or wherever. That adds up. It would be better for your brain to actually take Brainy and have your brain activity improve. So yeah, it's a daunting task to get the word out. The problem is we are regulated by FDA. There's a lot of people that say, oh, supplements aren't regulated. Well, technically they are. And in Brainy's case, we went the extra mile and we got a NDIN number, which is assigned by FDA, which means New Dietary Ingredient Number. And it took 9 or 10 months to go through that process where they look at all the ingredients. We have to provide all the science, and they give you an approval letter for safety, and they give it for whatever ages. So in our case, Brainy is proven to be safe for all ages. I don't know of very many brain supplement companies that have gone to that process. But the thing is there's not enough regulation. In other words, you can put a label on a bottle and you can say you have this many milligrams of huperzine A and bacopa and this and that. The Consumer Report people go study the supplements. They find that they don't contain those ingredients, or they contain other ingredients. So that's actually why the supplement industry should be supervised, because I shouldn't be able to lie to the public and sell you something you don't even know what is in the capsule. I think the public needs the truth. And that's what regulation can provide us, is some protection that you're not getting something that's carcinogenic or that contains heavy metals or other toxins in that capsule. So I'm just saying we tried to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, so we knew we were providing people with a safe and effective supplement that will support the brain measurably. So it's taken a long time to get there. Now we're here, and now we just need to spread the word.
Yeah, definitely. What are your main growth targets for this year?
Well, we hope to actually get out there and begin really advertising Brainy again. I'd say maybe later this year, maybe by the fall, I'd say be a good target for us. We are online and available currently, but we're building out a kind of a whole plan right now for viral spreading of Brainy. We're just taking it slow. I mean, we don't have the money that the big multinationals have. And I'll tell you, I've had to deal with some of those big companies. And they have been, they sick the lawyers on you. They try to, abuse your trademarks. It's just a total nightmare. So I've had to waste a lot of money fighting battles with industry giants over things I shouldn't have to be doing. So that's a sad state of affairs, but that's just the way it is. And so I'm all for the small guy who's done things right. And I just have this belief that in the end, Brainy's going to be out there for everyone to understand how it can affect their long-term health, brain health.
Yeah, absolutely. What distribution channels are you most focused on scaling?
Well, we'll probably do some geofencing, targeted into certain areas initially, because that just makes more sense. In the past, we've done a little testing with very broad Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising, which is that middle-aged group. But I think if we did some geofencing advertising to areas where you have a very large senior base would be smart. And so I think that'll be high on our list. So that will probably start in that area and test that really well and then go from there. Yeah. It's a journey.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious, what's your approach to entering retail channels?
I probably have to build sales volume naturally before I consider going retail. I know that retail, I've spoken with some of the retail folks. They are really looking for cheap products. And if you're not selling them something at $5 or something like that, it's hard to get their attention. And that doesn't necessarily put the best products on the market on their shelves. So I think once you get enough sales volume through other channels, then you can get their attention, right? So that's what I'm hoping anyway. And we'll see. I may go, the route of high end grocery store type retail. The Whole Foods of the world, that kind of thing, where they have people who work in those departments who you can get the opportunity to educate. And the other thing, of course, is physicians' offices, because I have several physicians now who routinely tell their clients about Brainy. Their clients do the testing, they see the results, and then they continue on with buying Brainy. So that's been very helpful too.
Definitely. So if we had this conversation in 12 months, what would you say that it's been a successful year?
That's a good question. I think finishing up what we're doing with the website, which is really important because it has a lot of the documentation in it that provides the science behind Brainy. And we've had the chance to really test some of these target audiences that we want to test. So I think if we can, double or triple our sales volume over the next 12 months, we would be really happy with that, because that would be real. And the other thing that's interesting, Evan, is with Brainy, our sales numbers aren't huge because we've never really been out there marketing. But people who have found Brainy, we have a retention rate of close to 80% over year. So once people find Brainy and they understand what it does for them, they stick with it for the long run. And that's very, very key in the supplement space. A lot of people go buy a bottle one time and then the next time they grab something totally different. So, and that's true in beer and wine and whiskey. So if you can get loyalty to a brand, that's important. So if we could double or triple our size and we're maintaining our buyback, our subscription rates at above 70%, I would be thrilled. Yeah. And just let it grow slow and be what it is, which is something heroic. It is. So I don't know. I'm here for you if you have any more questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. That's it for today's episode of Healthier, Happier You, the people working to make it happen. A huge thank you to Troy Ball for sharing her insights and amazing work Brainy is doing to help people live healthier, happier lives. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit. If your brand or business making an impact in health, wellness, or personal care, we'd love to help you grow. Connect with me at luxhammer.com. And of course, go to brainy with an I.com if you'd like to check out Brainy. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep making a difference.